Welcome to our video training on the reporting module in WebGrants. Before we get started, it is critical for you to know that you are running a report. So you must know what module and statuses your forms or documents are in at the time you run your report, or it will be erroneous. For example, if you are running a report on applications and you choose submitted status, you would not be including any applications that are in final approval and under review status. Or if you would choose all statuses, the report will pull withdrawn, editing, and correcting, which may not make your report accurate. We need to always remember exactly what data we want to pull and from which module in the system. We must also realize that because of what I just stated, not everyone should have access to run these reports. If you do not have knowledge of the module, the form creator, and the statuses, you should not have access to reports until you learn more in the system. Please contact your agency administrator for access to this module. Okay, so the reports in WebGrants, they are for internal users only. External users do not have access to reports. They will not see a report on their menu. There are 4 different types of report. You have formatted, ad hoc, data only, and data export. So we will run through each one of these and what the options are. So formatted reports are truly formatted that are built in the reporting module, and they come standard with the WebGrants system. The formatted reports are hard-coded and users cannot change the format. So any internal user that has access through their role can run these reports. So on the formatted reports, when you click on one of these reports, so let's click on funding opportunities, submitted applications. They are running the actual system fields. So when you look at this, these filters that are displayed cannot be changed. So you have like a status filter, program area, funding opportunity, your stage of whether it's a final or whether it's a pre-application situation. You have a filter for the applicant's last name or the applicant's organization name, even a date range. The date range is on the status. So again, if you do not know your statuses and you would put in a date range, it could pull the incorrect data. So we're just going to pull submitted applications for the training funding opportunity and that program area. And we're just going to generate so you can see what this report looks like. So again, this is formatted. So you can't change the format, but it will show you all your filter criteria, and it will also show you all the columns or the fields that are included. You can also have the column visibilities to where I can say I don't want to see the status, or I don't want to see the stage, or I don't want to see the title. And then you can actually print this report and you can send it to your printer as HTML, or you can actually print this as PDF. So those are your options for all the formatted reports. So when you run this, again, you'll have different options for printing it. And again, the filters. So it's very important, again, that when you're running any of the formatted reports, that the filters are chosen automatically for these and they cannot be changed. They're very nice formatted reports, though, to actually print out and hand a director or someone that would want to view this data. Ad hoc is your next option. Now, ad hoc is a little bit differently because the ad hoc reports are reports that clients can create themselves. Users can select fields from throughout the system so they can establish criteria for the filtering, the grouping, sorting. You can use system forms, and you can actually use your user-defined forms. So this is the area where you will be building the majority of your reports. The reports can also be exported out to HTML or Excel CSV format. So when you create a report, it's going to ask you some very critical information. So when we create this, it will ask you what program area. Now you can choose all, which is global, but if that is the case, then you must consider the fact that you must have global forms. If you don't have global forms, then it's very program area specific. So we're going to keep this as a program area specific. Your report title, you want this title to be very specific to the actual report. You could even put your initials. You could put the date that you created this report in the title, but you want to make sure that you are specifying specifically for this report, because other people will have access to your program area possibly, and they will have access to ad hoc. So you want to make sure it's very clear what the report is actually running the data on. Your base document, it refers to the foundation document where the majority of the information is actually pulling from. So for this instance, if we're going to create an application report, our base document is application. When we look at the next field, we always, 99% of the time, you'll want to include all rows. And if you read the instructions, it basically specifies that it's a join condition where data will be returned even if data does not exist. Meaning, if you want to return the rows on data that have not been completed. A lot of your forms, when you create them, do not require all fields to be completed, but this would allow you to pull the data on those. So 99% of the time, I'm going to tell you, you should include all rows. It will also allow you to create your own filters for this report. So if you are actually filtering for a program area, it's because you've created it as a global form. But if you've already specified that this is program area specific, then you would not have to select that as a filter. However, the next one, by the funding opportunity, you could have multiple funding opportunities underneath that one program area. So I would advise everyone to filter by funding opportunity. You can filter by status, it's a very good idea. And you could also filter by a date range. Again, date range, that one's an iffy one because of the simple fact that if you filter by the date range, it's going to be based on the base document you chose and the status of the base document. I would create your report and then I would come back and I would work with the filter based on the status of the base document. You can also filter by the base document number, meaning I can actually set up a filter so that I could run it on one application at a time. So when you're done setting up your actual report information and filters, you would click Save. You're a long ways from being done. At this point, many people want to go ahead and try to generate the report. But the fact is that you've only set up the actual report name and specifications of program area behind the scenes and filters. What you want to do now is click on the blue button called Define Report. Your next step is telling the system what fields you want to be included on this report. For that step, you want to click on Add New Fields in the first section. When we click on Add New Fields, these are the documents that the system is going to show you for selecting. Because we have chosen to create an application report, you will want to go to Applications. So we'll click on Applications, and the next screen will include all global application forms plus the program area you specified. So in our case, it's all global forms and program area specific forms for training. Once we click on the application general information, and I will tell you that in any case, when you are creating an ad hoc report, whether that be an application report or whether that be a grant report, you want to click on the application general information or the grant general information. And in that report, you must select at least one field to tell the system where you're at. Because again, you have chosen application as your base document. So you need to go to the application general information, which is the application's systems form. So in this example, we are going to select the application ID. We are also going to select the application status and the application title. But you could select the org, you could select the primary or external person or the additional external contacts, even the funding opportunity, and so on and so forth. We just want some information from the application general information to tell the system where to go. Once you actually get the system fields designated on your report, then you can start adding the actual fields from the user defined forms. So the next time we click add new fields, now we click on applications again, but now we can actually choose a form that we have chosen to actually build ourselves. So we're going to choose the budget. A budget is a big one that the majority of the time an application will actually, you will be creating an ad hoc budget report. In this example, we are using a budget that has a multi-list section, and we are going to check off all those fields. Now, one of the ways that you can tell, and again, you need to know your forms very well, is it highlights almost a blue color. It's a blue-green color to tell you that that section is a multi-list. You need to know how sections work together. So if we are creating a multi-list section and we want the justification, that's a single value. So that's multiples of the same field in the first section, and then you're going to have one field in the second section. Now, if you understand how that report will actually display when it's ran, great. But I will tell you the majority of the time with multi-list sections, you want your own single report for each multi-list section. It's easier to view and easier to manage the data if you export it. So for this instance, we're just going to use the one multi-list. We selected all of the fields we'd like to see on this report, and we save. This takes us back to the actual defining section of the report. I will tell you before we ever filter anything or group anything or aggregate or total anything, we want to generate this because you want your report to be simple. Generate it first, and then you can go back and you can start really breaking up this data the way you want to see it on the report. So once we generate, we're going to choose our filters that are provided for us, and then we can actually print it out, and it prints out in HTML a little bit quicker. So I would advise you to always print it in HTML first. You can actually export these to Excel, which I'll show you that in a minute. From, again, this screen, it looks a lot like the formatted reports. Earlier in this video, you have the option to print it to your printer or print it to PDF. We're actually going to back up out of this report and show you again what it looks like. Here's the filters again, the funding opportunity status. I want to show you how you can actually use your sort criteria though. Many times people will want to sort this based on the application ID or even the budget amount. So the first level of sort, you can say, I want to sort it by the application ID. We can even subtotal if we want based on that ID. It would subtotal everyone for this one. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but you do have options to subtotal. You have two level sorts. So I could say, first, I wanted to subtotal by the ID, and then I could turn around and say, and then by the status. Or I can say status and then ID. We're just going to actually select this, and then I'm also going to change the print to CSV. And the reason for this is I want you to see how it exports out into Excel. So now we can generate again based on our source. As you will see, it actually sorts below. So you'll click on that and it will open up into Excel. And that way you will be allowed to do any type of manipulation of the data that you choose. So that's actually an ad hoc report. So if you want to go into further information, then we will define the report and then we can actually group. So I'm going to show you if we edit all the fields in this, you have filtering operators. So you could say, I want to give everything that is with a requested amount greater than 5,000. So you could say greater than, and you put in just 5,000. You can group this. Now, grouping is a little bit differently. It's going to group by organization, if you have organization information, or you can group this by status. It totally depends on what you want to see. Grouping is grouping by the field. So it will give you sometimes a very erroneous report based on if you do not do the grouping correctly. If you have issues with the grouping, please contact us. We do not want you frustrated over a report that you don't know how to group correctly. The other thing is aggregating fields. We can aggregate on specific fields for currency or for numbers. You could never aggregate the data on a text field. And then we can insert totals. So we could say, give me a total for, a total requested amount figure at the bottom. So we can do things like that on the ad hoc report. Now you have to know that totals do not work when you export it to Excel. It's only going to work when you run this in HTML. The other thing that I want to point out is how we can order our fields. We can order our fields in any way we want. We can change our labels to anything we choose, and you're only changing the label on this report, not the form creator. The other thing that is very critical when you're running an ad hoc is every label has to be unique. You cannot have two labels that say application number or say description. When you're done, you would just save this and then you would generate your report again. The last note that I want to state about an ad hoc report is that because you are creating this report yourself and it's not system generated, please remember to verify all of your information. So once this runs, please go back to that funding opportunity or what it says in the document filter criteria, because you said, I want to filter by funding opportunity and the status, and go back and actually go to submitted applications and look and see what are under review and what are submitted. And if those totals are correct, that way you are doing the best that you can to make sure that this is an accurate report. So if you have any other questions for an ad hoc report, please call us or email us at DOLAS. Now I want to go over data only. Data only is very specific reports in your system that are created by DTPI. They consist of an SQL statement with certain parameters and the format is set and it cannot be changed. These reports are typically created when you request a report that you cannot actually develop using the ad hoc reports module. And the results of the report, they wouldn't need any special formatting. So those types of reports truly are only going to export out to HTML or Excel. Once a data only is corrected and it's approved, then it's usually specified for a specific program area. So if you click on the report name and you choose those filters, then that is the way that report was designed. typically these may actually have an additional charge. So it depends on how critical the data is in a specific way that you're running in data only. And a lot of times it can mean that, you need data pulled from various modules of the system where ad hoc just doesn't have that capability. And then the very last one is data export. And this is just simply creating a data export of a form. You do not select the fields, you just simply select the form and it exports to CSV. So these are the 4 types of reports that do exist in the WebGrants system. So I want to thank you for watching our video on reporting.